Hello, lovely strangers of the internet, and welcome to my little corner of the internet. My name is Kai, and today I have inks with me. It is October 3rd as of the time I'm recording this, and Inktober has already started. So I decided to buy these Dr. Martens inks, Bombay inks. I'll leave the link down below as to where I got them, so if you want to play with them, you can. This set comes with 12 different colors, brown, black, white, yellow, orange, red, magenta, light green, a teal, a blue, and a purple. As for the sketchbook that I'm using, it is the same one as last time, the Ahuhu Mixed Media Pad. Link into the description down below as well. Here I'm just pouring some water for the inks so I can wash them down and dilute them so they would be a little bit more easier to put down on the paper. Each bottle comes with a dropper attached to it, and if you don't know what a dropper is, it's basically a little tube that you can squeeze and it sucks up all the ink so that it's easier to apply on paper or in a palette. When I was swatching these inks, I noticed that the spread was a lot different than watercolors. With watercolors, when you put water down on paper and you put pigments into the water, it spreads kind of smoothly and almost as you can't really see the pigment as much. But with inks, or at least these ones, I saw that it had a defined fluffiness to it. Like you can see sharp edges where it's spread, like right here. My watercolors don't do that. They have a more softer spread, but this one has a more harsher spread. I've used inks in the past, but this is my first time actually using them just by themselves. I usually use inks to create line art or some shadows in a couple of my works, but it was fun just using these ones by themselves. For the future of my art, I want to start working with a lot of different mediums, so I've been just collecting and just purchasing some different mediums. I got gouache last time, and now I have inks, and I have a bit of acrylics, and I don't really like acrylics that much, but that may just have to do with how I'm using them, so I don't know. But I just really want to improve on all different types of mediums and stuff like that for the future of my art. Here I'm taking 2 bottles of inks. I'm taking the magenta and the black, and I'm pouring them into a plastic dropper bottle. Right now I'm currently putting in 10 drops of ink into it, along with 5 full vials of the dropper from the bottle. So I'm just going to speed this up right here. The final result that I have for each bottle in terms of how many drops of ink I put inside of it is, for the magenta I put 50 drops of ink and 5 full tubes of water from the dropper. And for the black I put 15 drops of ink and 5 full tubes of water. Here I'm just testing out each time I add 5 more drops of ink how dark it would be, and I wanted it to be as dark as possible, but not too dark, because this is how I'm going to take my inks. I didn't really feel comfortable taking the whole bottle of ink because I fear that it would, break and cause a huge mess on the ground. So this is my way of taking inks on the go. Here it is the second day of Inktober, and I'm just sketching out my ideas. I wanted, the prompt word for this day was suit, so I immediately thought of a pinstripe suit. So I'm just here coming up with ideas, and I wanted to draw a woman with a giant, sun hat in a pinstripe suit with a coat around her shoulders. So this is what I'm doing currently, and now I'm just taping down the edges of my paper to give it a nice border. I don't normally do this because I don't really want to have borders inside sketchbooks, but I figured for Inktober I would probably most likely want a border. I decided, I started sketching, and I didn't like the first iteration of it, so then I started sketching another iteration of this prompt and decided that was too small, so I erased it and went larger. I like the size of it. There are things I would change about it, like maybe the composition could be a little bit better, but for what it is, it's good. So here I am taking the pencil, the brush, and the inks, and just starting to lay down the first couple of strokes onto the paper. I first started with her body and her clothing items, and then I worked my way back to the coat. Or not. Or the hat, Yeah, sure. I still need to learn how to get a better wash of ink. I think what would have been probably a better idea is laying down first a wash of water and then going over it with inks. But it's just trying to get a flat wash of ink is a little bit difficult because it dries quickly. At least for me it does. So I end up having streaks inside of it. But that is most likely just me not knowing how inks work and stuff like that. I decided that I wanted her bodice to be a bit darker, so I went over it with another wash. And now I'm doing the coat, and I wanted it to be the lightest so it would contrast really well to her body. Here I'm going in with the magenta, and I'm starting to color in the flowers and the plants around her. It was really nice watching the inks spread on the paper. It is different from watercolors in the way they spread. Like I said before, inks spreading with wet paper is a bit harsher, and they're more I'm not sure how to describe it, but all I can say is it's a bit harsher and not as soft as watercolor spreads. So yeah, just take that as you will. Here I'm starting to add just little petals around because I wanted her to be surrounded by plants and stuff, and I felt that the few first plants weren't really doing it, so I decided some petals swooping around her would be a good way to do that. And now I'm adding the vines and stuff like that. It was really fun just kind of doing willy-nilly with the brush and the ink, it gave me all of these interesting lines, and as I continued to run out of ink, I went further into the back so that it would give me that illusion of distance. There are other colors of inks, as you just saw, and I want to make stuff that doesn't have black in it, because for Inktober, I'm going to always use black and have an accent color. For this one, I have the accent color being magenta, but further down the line, I do want to work on pieces that don't have any black on them and just are pure color. I decided that I needed more vines, so here I am just adding more and more vines until eventually it just becomes a jumbled mess at the bottom and makes it look like she's summoning plants from her feet. I tried editing this video in a way that would make it feel as though you're actually watching me paint rather than a time-lapse of my painting. And I think I prefer this method of editing a lot better than the time-lapse, just because you can actually see what I'm doing instead of it being sped up. So you can see here that I'm just creating little specks by tapping the brush with paint. Or how you can see me making these vines with strokes and stuff. Here I'm adding line art just to get a bit more defined shapes to it and adding more detail to it. I'm taking this white pen and I'm adding the stripes to the pinstripe suit. I'm really happy with how the pinstripes came out. If you do wish to see all of my Inktober drawings for this month, or for this year, better yet, you can check them out on Instagram. I created an account recently, and I'll leave that in the description below. I'll also leave my Artful account. I've had that a lot longer than Instagram, but there isn't much more on there. So yeah, if you do want to check out my artwork that I don't make videos for, that's where I'll be posting them. I do hope you guys enjoyed watching me just paint and creating this day's painting. That's it for me, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!